to follow that will lead us in godly things and can lead us to the deep things of God, so we're not just staying in the shallow end of God.
Very, very powerful response. And listen, in this book, I also mentioned we're going to deal with the subject of apostolic fathering versus apostolic mothering. I think that needs to be a distinction when it comes to the gender-based apostles, apostolic father and apostolic mothering, but that's later down the line. Now, if people keep on into the grace, you might get there to that principle. But one of my professors told me that it is wise for some theologians just to say, I don't know. Now, sometimes it's important for theologians to say, I don't know. But guess what? That theologian has been trained to do research on what he doesn't know. So it doesn't mean apostles know everything. But it does mean that apostle, when he hears something presented to him, he gets into the prayer, he gets into the realm of the Spirit, and then the Holy Spirit gives him the tools to do research on what he doesn't know. Because we're all growing in this thing. We're all taking this journey. Only one is omniscient, that is God. And we are connected to the omniscient mind and the omnipotent power of God, okay? But I'm going to share something with you because this is very powerful. Because when Christ says that apostles are highly trained, extremely knowledgeable, this reminds me of the military. It reminds me of the military. You cannot, and of course, we got Deacon Antonio right here. He's a silent assassin, and Prophet Kim. They're here. But he knows, because people in the army, you cannot be a general the moment you step into the army. Is that correct? They start you off as a private. But it's only in church that we see people that want to skip the rankings and be a general off the bat because they receive the revelation. They receive some type of vision from God, and they skip being a private soldier. They skip being, with a sergeant, was before sergeant. A captain. They skip being a captain. They skip being that sergeant, and then they want to be a general. But you have to understand, just like the army deals with different rankings, and there's different dynamics and sciences to the army, so it is when it comes to the church. The church is a battleground. Paul says we must endure hardness as soldiers. So and the word soldier in the Greek is the word stratiotes. Stratiotes is where we get our English word strategy from. When Paul said the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, that word warfare is the word stratumai in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Now listen, Paul said the weapons of our warfare. Now notice, I know we Christians, we like to use that principle to deal with all sorts of spiritual warfare. But in that text, if we were to exegete that text, Paul is not dealing with the warfare of the Christian. He's dealing with apostolic career. He's dealing with apostolic warfare. Not every Christian can handle apostolic warfare. So the weapons of the apostles' warfare are not carnal. That word stratumai, apostolic strategies, they're not carnal, they're spiritual. So that apostle must know how to flow in the kingdom, the philosophy, the way of living. She's talking about the way of living. The sociology is the culture. Because apostles are cultural transformers. They're called the change culture. And until the apostle really has an understanding of kingdom culture, kingdom philosophy, kingdom principles, he cannot change the culture. We're called to change this kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. That's why it's important for that apostle to be highly trained before he goes out